there's no easy way to say this. I honestly think that's the worst episode of Doctor Who I've ever watched. And I understand that Mr. Boyce is a really famous writer, and I'm sure he's very great at the other things he's written. I thought this episode was absolutely terrible. From top to bottom. I cannot think of one redeeming moment in this episode. I thought the entire thing was awful. So you know what? I'm just gonna start from the top of how awful it is and go from there. First thing I didn't like in this episode, the TARDIS talks. Since when is the TARDIS Siri? The TARDIS never talks. When the Doctor communicates with the TARDIS, usually it's the TARDIS will do something, or it'll make a noise, or won't do something he wants him to do. Obviously there's a famous Neil Gaiman episode where it's an actual woman. Oh, that's all awesome. But now it talks to him? No. It's not Siri. It's not a navigation system. It's the TARDIS. There was all this set up one joke that wasn't funny. Two, apparently Pink and Clara are absolutely awful at their jobs because they lost an entire child. They didn't notice a child was missing. And you know what? They didn't seem to care either. And I'm not gonna blame the writing on this one as much as I'm gonna blame the director, because the director, Cherie Folkson, also is responsible for how bad this episode is. Now, Mr. Boyce and Miss Folkson are both first-time Whovians as far as writing and directing goes. That's a mistake. If you're gonna put a new writer on Doctor Who, you keep a veteran director. If you're gonna keep a new director, you put a veteran writer. That's common sense. When they finally decide to find this missing girl, even when they're walking through the forest, they're walking way ahead of the kids, flirting and bantering. They don't even care about these kids. My biggest problem with this episode, no logical reactions. The parents are like, what? The neighbor's planted some bushes. That's so annoying. That makes no sense. So when they realize that their kids are missing, when they realize there's a giant forest, when it's all over the news, no one has a logical reaction. No one has if your child is lost, there should be this horrible fear reaction. If you feel like you lost a child as a teacher, and guys, I used to be a teacher. I used to be a probation officer. I've worked with kids most of my life. If I ever lost one, I would be scared to death. I wouldn't be like, oh, the doctor will find her. She's fine in this mystical forest where apparently there are wolves. And conveniently, just because he wants to base it very, very, very loosely on a poem, a tiger. Whatever. They're doing a lot of exposition that never happens. Like, they talk about the one kid, they're like, you have terrible allergies, you might die any second. But there's no moment about it. Maybe they cut it from the script, but there's no moment where the kid like has allergy attacks. So why are we having? Then we watch a flashback that he punches other kids and we're supposed to like him? The creators, the people that wrote this episode watched it, and the director and the writer had never watched Doctor Who before. Because he can go home because Gallifrey is where again? Nothing about this episode worked. I will say this is the one positive thing I'll say. The little girl, the main little girl whose name I cannot remember right now. Do you? No, we don't remember her name. But the girl that could hear the trees was not bad. Child acting is really, really hard. And I thought she actually did a really good job. So this is something that had happened before, but no one's gonna remember it because why? Another thing that really bothered me about this episode was that none of the kids recognized that the doctor had been their janitor for like at least a couple weeks, or at least a full week. He'd been the janitor, and like the weirdest one there, like everyone saw him around and no one, it was such an easy joke to be like, well, you're the janitor. Like super easy, funny, recognizable, callback. They missed that. The CGI tiger isn't interesting, the CGI wolves aren't interesting, her in the red cloak, I get it, not interested. They had a Jurassic Park moment. Nothing about this episode was good. It was sloppy storytelling. It was poor research. It was not knowing your characters. I don't know how the script got approved. It was terrible. So let's jump to the end. Clara is... she's saying the doctor needs to go because the Earth is going to die and there's nothing they can do with that. Which doesn't sound anything like what Clara would say. It also goes against everything we've seen because they have gone to the other future so many times. We just saw the moon egg thing. Kyle can't even do this because this episode was that bad. Instead of being able to save the children, take them to another planet or whatever, they're like, no, no, go, go, go. But then Clara's like, hey Pink, come with me. We can go in the TARDIS together. And he's like, I'm not gonna leave the kids. Why is she leaving the kids? Why is that an option that they're gonna abandon these children? And then the doctor leaves, comes back, solar flares, all fine, it's a shield, whatever. Really boring ending to a really boring and terrible story. And then the worst part, a little girl has been missing. So then we end it with a bush disappearing and her sister's inside it. What? What? Oh, I have to go back to this. I have to go back to this. So she's leaving breadcrumbs. She's leaving breadcrumbs. The first thing she drops is her cell phone. The most important tool she has, she drops, is a cell phone. Really? And the next thing she drops, her food. There's this girl, and then they have one clip where they show us this mistress, just to remind us that she's around. I give Boyce, the writer, and I give Folkson. Boyce and Folkson, for me, both get the Moffat Award. Guys, that's not a good award I give. So I hope you liked it, or if you agree with me, guys, I'm sorry, I thought this episode was terrible. I don't know what Kyle's doing behind me. I can only assume it's something really creative and awesome, or really stupid. I probably would rather watch 44 minutes of whatever Kyle was doing. I love you, Doctor Who. I love you so much. You're my favorite TV show of all time, and you make me so happy. And
hey, what's up, Shawn? I'm Frank Cottrell Boyce.
What are you doing here, Mr. Boyce? Mr. Boyce, what are you doing?
Yep, that's mine.
Mr. Boyce? Mr. Boyce, no. Mr. Boyce, what are you doing to the what are you doing to the Doctor Who? Don't do Mr. Boyce, stop! Mr. Boyce, no!
The Tiger by William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? Writer, writer, in the night, typing things that should be hidden from sight, what producer hand or eye approved that awful script?
Moffat.